My name's Christina, and right now I live in San Diego, California. My Instagram is @SpectraFloat. My favorite prop is a tough one. I think Poi is like my go-to prop. It's the prop I'm most comfortable with, but I started recently getting into double staffs, and I feel like I'm having so much fun with them that I'm like kind of in between the two. So it's a toss-up between Poi and double staffs right now. I've been flowing for about 7 years now. I've gotten pretty serious about it the last like 5 years, I would say. When I first got into the rave scene, I remember there were a lot of glovers. It was so fascinating to me. I didn't realize that people were doing stuff like that. I was a glover in the beginning. Looking back, it's funny because I would take the gloves off and like spin them around like Poi. And then I started hooping. I wanted to be a hooper. I thought it was like so cool, the girls doing it. They looked super cool doing it, but it just like didn't stick with me. And then I was gifted my first pair of Poi, and I was like, oh, like, okay, girls can spin Poi too, and this is my thing. I didn't know any girls who spun Poi when I first started. And once I started and I would see some like badass females like Sophia from Philly and Liz Knights, like I would see them and I was just like, wow, like some Poi inspiration. Now there's so many of us and so many people that just really inspire me. It wasn't until I moved out to California that I really got into flow arts seriously. One of my friends, Zeev, he gifted me a set of Poi. I went to Burning Man that year, and I think that was the first time I really saw like fire performers. I actually spun fire for my first time that same trip. You know, it was at the end of a burn, and I had friends around me with like fire blankets, you know, and after that, I kind of started practicing. There was a whole flow community that I became part of, and I was meeting people and they were wanting to teach me things, and I started getting, at the time I thought I was good, but looking at videos now I'm like, oh wow. But yeah, I started to learn how to like flow in between different patterns, and from there I just kind of stuck with it. Flow state to me is when the world kind of melts away and I'm just with myself and there's no judgment, no worry. I'm just kind of flowing with, you know, with myself, and it can be with drawing or climbing, surfing, especially with flow arts because I definitely do that the most. You just kind of let any anxieties or stress melt away and you reach this place where you're not focused on anything else that's happening. It's like a meditative state, which is really good for my mental health. I think it's good for anybody who can reach that state. What's been really inspiring to me, there's been a few times in my journey where other women have come up to me and been like, hey, you know, I started spinning Poi because of you. And that just like moved me so deeply because now they're just killing it. So that's been really inspiring to me, and I think just watching other flow artists, I have such amazing friends who are so good, and I've like watched them grow with their props, and you know, I love the fact that the internet can connect me with people from all around the world, and just seeing everybody's unique style and their own like flair, it makes me want to keep going. My flow style is pretty fluid, I would say. I incorporate a bit of tech. I'm definitely more like techie than dancey. I feel like my flow style kind of changes depending on the mood that I'm in and the music that I'm listening to. It's kind of all over the place a little bit. I think it really just depends on how I'm feeling that day and what music's playing, where the stars are at in the sky, you know, it all depends on a lot of things. So I've definitely gotten good at Poi from the people around me. I'm not very good at pulling up a YouTube video and learning from YouTube at all. I don't think I have the attention span for it, so I'm really lucky that I live somewhere where there's a bunch of people flowing around me, and I've been to some flow festivals. I've learned a lot there. If I'm really trying to learn something, I just drill the crap out of it until I can figure it out. So I first heard about Flow on Fire, I think it was like 4 years ago maybe. I was at Camp Bisco on the East Coast, and I met Sierra, and it was such a short interaction. Her friends were actually all packing up and I saw her spinning poi, and I didn't know that many girls who spun poi, so I went over and I was so excited to talk to her. I think her hair was like dyed a cool color, and I was like, oh my gosh, hi, like, what's your name? Who are you? And she brought up that she was, you know, sponsored by Flow on Fire, and she was friends with them, and I thought that was super cool. So then I looked more into Flow on Fire and got a fire set from them, and I loved the set that I got, and just started following all the people that were associated with Flow on Fire and learning more about them. I wanted to be a part of the Flow on Fire team because of the quality of the props and the team that I was lucky enough to meet, you know, a lot of at a festival, Universal Flow Gathering here in California. I met, you know, a nice little crew of the Flow on Fire team, and I remember thinking they were so talented and also friendly. I took Austin's class, and he was just like so insane, and also I remember him doing a trick and me being like, there's no way I'm learning that. Like, that's like way beyond what I can do, and by the end of the class I could do it, and I've done it probably every time I've spun contact poi since, because it was just so cool and it made me feel so badass. So the thought of like being a part of the same team that those people were on was really exciting to me. It was like a goal of mine, you know. I had a few goals, like, oh, perform at this festival, be on the Flow on Fire team. So when I was asked to, you know, be on the team, it was a really exciting day for me. My favorite part of being a part of Flow on Fire is all of the badass people that I get to be on the team with. I actually was in Maine earlier this year and had the pleasure of meeting Britt and Kel. They're so cool. And like, Britt is an insane poi spinner. Have you ever seen her spin poi? Just meeting the people behind the props and behind the team sparked my, like, you know, stoke so much. And it's just, they have such high quality props, so it's like, not like you're a part of a team where the props are just like, okay, like, they're the best in the business, and the people on the team are so talented, so kind. They don't have people on the team that are like shitty people, so it's just all around good, you know? So it feels really good to be a part of that. I think my biggest contribution to the Flow community is the amount of people that I've taught how to do things. I feel like I have so many Poi-Babies who I kind of started, you know, teaching them even how to swing the poi around their bodies. Poi-Babies! Way to Poi-Babies! And now they're doing really well. I've taught a few classes and definitely want to teach more at different Flow festivals coming up. That's my contribution now, and probably will be moving forward. So I'd like to thank my mom and dad. I'm just kidding. No, I would like to thank them, but I'm just kidding. So like, let me start over. So I want to shout out Britt and Kel for bringing me onto the team. I want to thank my best friend Hazel for teaching me the amount that she's taught me, and my friend Eve, who, you know, gifted me my first set of poi. All the Flow on Fire people who I've met, the San Diego Flow community. You guys all rock and make me pick up my props a lot more than I probably would, since life gets super hectic. So thank you guys for that. And yeah, that's it.